How you doing, everybody? My name is Dr. Sami Baya. Please welcome back to my YouTube channel. How female narcissists use their physical bodies to manipulate their victims. Now, it is very important to approach this topic very carefully because we know that narcissism is a personality disorder characterized by grandiosity, a lack of empathy, and a need for admiration. It can manifest itself in various ways. In this video, we are going to talk about the manipulation tactics of female narcissists involving their physical attributes. Now, one way a female narcissist will use their bodies to manipulate their victims is through seduction. They use charm and physical allure to gain attention and admiration. And an example is when that female narcissist dresses provocatively to attract and manipulate a partner. There's also the attention-seeking aspect of a female narcissist, using their bodies to manipulate you. They constantly flaunt physical appearance to remain the center of attention. For example, they'll post suggestive photos on social media to elicit compliments and validation. The female narcissists will also use their bodies for flattery. They use their looks to make others feel special, and then they ask for favors. And an example is complimenting a colleague's appearance to gain their favor for a work-related request. Now, a female narcissist will also use their bodies to manipulate you emotionally. They use physical touch or closeness to create emotional bonds and influence decisions. An example is when the female narcissist uses affectionate gestures to soften up someone for a personal favor. A female narcissist will also guilt-trip their victims to manipulate them. They employ physical attractiveness to make someone feel guilty for not meeting their needs. And an example is when that female narcissist plays the victim and uses a tearful expression to manipulate a partner into giving in. The other way a female narcissist manipulates their victims using their physical bodies is through sexual manipulation. They use sexual advances or they withhold sex as a means to control a partner. A female narcissist, for example, will use sex as a bargaining tool to get what they want from their partner. Then the other thing is a female narcissist will use their bodies to manipulate you through jealousy induction. They engage with others in a flirtatious or suggestive manner to incite jealousy in their partner or in a partner. And an example is when a female narcissist flirts with someone else in front of their partner to make them feel insecure. Another way a female narcissist uses their bodies to manipulate their victims is through perceived vulnerability. They present themselves as fragile or in need of protection to gain sympathy and support. And an example is when the female narcissist acts overly emotional and they need physical comfort to manipulate a friend into helping them. There's also the aspect of social climbing. They leverage physical appearance to gain access to high-status social circles or opportunities. And an example is when the female narcissist uses attractiveness to befriend influential people for personal gain. Again, the female narcissists will use their bodies to exploit gender norms. They use societal expectations about female behaviors and appearance to manipulate others. They'll play, for example, into stereotypes of being delicate or needing help to get others to do things for them. Another way female narcissists use their bodies to manipulate others is through competitive comparison. They use their looks to make others feel inadequate and elevate themselves. And an example is when they constantly highlight their own attractiveness in conversations to undermine others' self-esteem. A female narcissist will also use their bodies to manipulate you through feigning innocence. They use a youthful or innocent appearance to avoid responsibility or gain favors. And an example is when they appear naive or innocent to deflect criticism or blame for mistakes. Another way a female narcissist uses their bodies to manipulate their victims is through charitable image. They use a well-groomed or attractive appearance to appear more benevolent or deserving of charity. And an example is when they wear designer clothes and they make a show of philanthropy to gain admiration and support. Another way a narcissist uses their bodies to manipulate their victims is through self-promotion. They regularly showcase physical beauty or fitness to boost personal image and garner praise. An example is when they post frequent selfies in workout gear to emphasize their commitment to fitness and attract positive attention. Another way female narcissists use their bodies to manipulate their victims is through strategic dress. They choose specific clothing or accessories to create a desired impression or reaction. An example is when they wear a revealing outfit to a social event to ensure all eyes are on them. Another way a female narcissist will use their bodies to manipulate their victims is through emotional comfort. They use physical closeness to manipulate someone into feeling obligated or emotionally bonded. An example is when the female narcissist sits very close to someone during a conversation to create a false sense of intimacy. They also use their bodies through false victimhood. They use an outwardly vulnerable or distressed appearance to solicit sympathy and aid. An example is when they present themselves as distressed or disheveled to gain sympathy and help from others. Female narcissists will also manipulate their victims through flirting. They employ flirtatious behavior to manipulate a person into doing something they otherwise wouldn't. Example, they'll flirt with a colleague to get them to agree to a project they are not interested in. They'll also use selective appearance. They alter their appearance to suit specific situations and influence outcomes. The female narcissist will dress in a conservative manner for a formal event to gain respect and credibility. They also use their bodies to manipulate their victims through being overly dramatic. They use an exaggerated or theatrical appearance to evoke strong emotional responses. An example is when the female narcissist dresses in a dramatic fashion to attract attention and create a sense of crisis. They will also use their physical bodies to create physical comfort. They use physical gestures such as hugs or touches to create a sense of dependency. An example is when this female narcissist offers a comforting hug only to use the gesture as a means to ask for a favor. A female narcissist will also use their bodies to emotionally coerce you. They create an emotional bond through physical closeness to coerce a person into compliance. An example is where they regularly hold hands or maintain close physical proximity to make someone feel obligated. The female narcissist will also use their bodies to manipulate their victims through power dynamics. They use physical presence to assert dominance or influence in social or professional settings. An example is a female narcissist standing very close to someone during a discussion to intimidate or control the conversation. Again, the female narcissist will use their bodies to manipulate you through doing the over-the-top celebrations. They use extravagant or revealing outfits to gain admiration and attention during events. An example is when they wear an attention-grabbing dress to a party to ensure they are the focal point. A female narcissist will also control their victims through creating dependency. They use physical appearance to create a sense of dependency in a partner or friend. An example is when they dress in a way that makes their partner feel the need to constantly compliment or cater to them. A female narcissist will control you using their bodies through manipulative compliments. They use their appearance to give compliments that serve to flatter and manipulate others. An example is when they praise someone excessively to lower their defenses and gain favor. A female narcissist will also use vulnerability. They create a facade of physical vulnerability to elicit protective behavior from others. An example is when they act physically weak or frail to get someone to take care of them or to do things for them. They also do attention diversion. They use physical attractiveness to divert attention away from their manipulative behavior. An example is when this female narcissist dresses provocatively to distract from a deceitful or selfish action they are planning. They also create insecurity. A female narcissist uses their own physical attributes to make others feel insecure and more easily controlled. An example is when they constantly highlight their own attractiveness in a way that makes others feel inferior. They feign innocence. They use a youthful or innocent appearance to avoid blame or scrutiny. They act childlike or naive to escape responsibility for adult actions. That's an example of how a female narcissist will behave to control you. They also do sympathy seeking. Female narcissists will use physical appearance to generate sympathy and get special treatment. For example, they will wear a dramatic or sad outfit to a public place to attract sympathy and assistance. They will also do guilt induction. They use the appearance to induce guilt in others for not meeting their needs. They display, for example, a sad or disappointed look to manipulate others into giving in to their demands. They also do manipulative social media. The female narcissists will post curated photos and updates to manipulate others' perceptions and gain validation. An example, they will share glamorous photos to garner likes and reinforce their image as successful and desirable. A female narcissist will intimate manipulation. They use physical intimacy or gestures to influence a partner's decisions. An example is where they use affectionate gestures to persuade a partner to agree to a significant life change. A female narcissist will also act physically or emotionally weak to gain attention or special treatment. For example, they pretend to be sick or exhausted to get someone to help them with tasks. A female narcissist will do the emotional overload. They use a dramatic physical appearance to create an overwhelming emotional atmosphere. An example is when they dress in a way that makes a dramatic statement to provoke a strong emotional response. A female narcissist will also do the conditional affection. They offer physical affection only when their demands are met. An example is when they withhold affection unless a partner agrees to their demands or requests. A female narcissist will do the romantic manipulation. They use romantic or sensual appearance to manipulate a partner into compliance. An example is dressing in a seductive manner to persuade a partner to go along with their plans. They will use a combination of physical vulnerability and charm to manipulate others. An example is when the female narcissist acts physically fragile in combination with a soft pleading tone to get someone to help them. Then they will also do the social manipulation. They use appearance to manipulate social interactions and gain favor with influential people. For example, they'll dress in a fashionable or appealing way to gain access to exclusive social events. They'll also exploit physical space. They'll use physical proximity and appearance to control or influence interactions. For example, they might stand too close to someone to make them uncomfortable and more likely to agree to requests. They also do the physical posturing. They use body language and appearance to assert control in conversations and interactions. An example, they'll adopt an authoritative posture or dress to dominate a discussion or decision-making process. They'll also play the victim. They'll use a distressed or frail physical appearance to garner sympathy and avoid responsibility. An example, they'll act emotionally distraught and use the appearance to manipulate others into taking care of them. They'll also do the sensual manipulation. They employ sensuality or sexual appeal to manipulate others into compliance. An example is when they use suggestive body language or attire to persuade a partner to agree to something. They'll also use guilt and sympathy. They use a physical pitiable appearance to induce guilt and sympathy from others. An example, they'll appear particularly worn out or sad to get someone to do something for them. They'll also do excessive grooming. They'll use impeccable grooming and appearance to garner attention and admiration. An example is when this female narcissist constantly shows off elaborate hairstyles or fashionable outfits to maintain a high profile. They'll also emotionally charge their appearance. They'll use physical appearance to create an emotionally charged atmosphere. An example is when the female narcissist wears a dramatic or unusual outfit to provoke strong reactions and maintain control in a social setting. Now, they will also do the self-centered attention thing. They use physical beauty to ensure that all focus remains on them during social interaction. They'll dress in a way that guarantees they are the center of attention at a party. They'll do the social leverage. They'll use an attractive appearance to gain favor and leverage in social or professional situations. An example, the female narcissist will dress attractively to secure a favorable position or opportunity in a professional setting. They'll also use physical closeness to create a sense of emotional dependency in others. For example, they'll frequently seek physical comfort or reassurance to foster a sense of obligation in others. They'll do dramatic appeals. They'll use an exaggerated or dramatic appearance to evoke strong emotional responses. An example is when they dress in a striking or emotional way to provoke sympathy or a specific reaction from others. They'll also do flirtatious behavior. They'll use flirtation and suggestive behavior to manipulate others into compliance. For example, they'll use playful flirting to persuade someone to agree to their wishes or demands. They'll also do disguised requests. They'll use a physical appearance that suggests vulnerability to make requests seem more urgent or necessary. An example is appearing frazzled or distressed to make a simple request seem more pressing. They'll use a seemingly vulnerable or distressed appearance to elicit empathy and assistance. They'll dress in a way that suggests distress or neediness to gain sympathy and support. They also they'll do manipulative confidence. They'll use an overly confident appearance to assert control and manipulate interactions. For example, they'll dress in a commanding manner to dominate conversations and assert influence. They'll do the emotional leveraging. They use physical appearance and emotional displays to leverage emotional responses from others. For example, they'll use a teary-eyed look and emotional demeanor to elicit compassion and get their way. They'll also use glamour as a tool. They'll use glamour and attractiveness as a means to manipulate social interactions and gain favors. An example is using high fashion or glamorous outfits to attract attention and influence social dynamics. They'll also do public displays. They'll use physical appearance to make dramatic public displays and manipulate others' perceptions. For example, they'll create a scene in a public place using an emotional and visually dramatic appearance to gain attention. They'll do, of course, romantic manipulation, where they'll use romantic or seductive appearance to influence partners' behavior or decisions. For example, they'll use seductive clothing or gestures to persuade a partner to agree to their plans or requests. They'll use physical assertiveness. They'll use physical presence and assertiveness to dominate social interactions and control outcomes. For example, they'll stand or sit in a way that asserts dominance and controls the flow of conversation. They'll also use social media influence. They'll leverage physical appearance and curate images on social media to manipulate perceptions and gain support. For instance, they'll post carefully crafted images to project a desirable image and manipulate others' views. They'll do emotional appeal. They'll use an emotional and physical presence or appearance to appeal to others' sense of compassion and gain favor. Example, using a tearful or distressed appearance to solicit help or support from friends or family. They also do personalized manipulation. Female narcissists will tailor physical appearance and behavior to suit specific individuals and manipulate their responses. For example, they'll alter appearance and behavior to align with the preferences of a person they want to influence. They'll also use a pitiable appearance to make others feel guilty and more likely to comply with their demands. They'll also do physical flattery. They'll use compliments and attention to leverage physical attractiveness for personal gain. For example, complimenting someone's appearance while subtly manipulating them into agreeing to requests. They'll also do excessive emotional displays. They'll use exaggerated emotional or physical displays to manipulate others into taking specific actions. For example, they'll create a scene in a public space to attract attention and influence others' behavior. They'll also do subtle control. They'll use physical appearance and behavior to subtly control social interactions and outcomes. For example, they'll use body language and dress to subtly influence how others perceive and respond to them. Now, they'll also do compensatory behavior. They use physical appearance to compensate for lack of other qualities or attributes and manipulate perceptions. For example, they'll use an attractive appearance to overshadow a lack of skills or qualifications in a professional setting. They'll also do coercive charm. They'll use charm and physical allure to coerce others into doing something they would otherwise avoid. For example, they'll use flirtatious behavior to persuade someone to agree to a difficult request. They'll also do manipulative affection. They'll offer physical affection only as a reward or in exchange for compliance with their demands. For example, they'll provide affection only when someone meets their specific requests or conditions. They'll also induce competition. They'll use physical attractiveness to create competition and manipulate social dynamics. For example, they'll dress to outshine others and create a competitive atmosphere in social settings. They'll also do the emotional dependency. They'll create a false sense of dependency through physical closeness to manipulate others. They'll use frequent physical contact to make someone feel emotionally obligated. They'll use dramatic appeal, using a dramatic physical appearance to manipulate emotional responses and gain support. For instance, they'll dress in a dramatic or eye-catching manner to provoke strong reactions and manipulate others. They'll be strategic in their appearance. They'll alter appearance strategically to influence specific situations or outcomes. For example, they'll dress formally to gain respect in a professional setting or informally to appear approachable. They'll also play the victim role with physical appearance to manipulate others into providing help or support. For example, they'll use a distressed or ill appearance to solicit sympathy and assistance. They'll also exploit intimacy. They'll use physical closeness and intimate gestures to manipulate others into compliance. They'll use intimate gestures to create, for example, a false sense of closeness and influence behavior. Flirtation is common for female narcissists. They use it as manipulation. They'll use flirtatious behavior to manipulate others into agreeing to demands or requests. For example, a female narcissist will flirt with someone to persuade them to do something they would not normally agree to. They also control perceptions. They'll use their physical appearance to control how others perceive and react to them. For example, they'll dress to create a specific image that influences how others interact with them. They'll also use physical attractiveness and charm to manipulate social dynamics and gain favor. For example, leveraging a glamorous appearance to influence social interactions and gain access to exclusive events. They'll also do the physical charisma. They'll use physical presence and charm to manipulate how others perceive and respond to them. For example, they'll use an attractive and confident appearance to command attention and influence behavior. They'll do the emotional leverage. They'll use physical appearance and emotional displays to gain leverage in personal or professional situations. They'll use an emotionally charged appearance to manipulate someone into making concessions. They'll also use physical appearance to promote oneself and manipulate how others perceive their value or worth. For example, they'll use an impressive appearance to enhance their perceived status and influence social interactions. Now, there you have it. Ways that female narcissists use their physical bodies to manipulate their victims. Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel if you've not done so. Subscribe. Thank you.